Welcome to episode 7 of There Be Dragons. As always, I'm Matthew, your DM, and with me today is...
Josh Walker, and I'm going to be playing Skairn Fellspar. I'm not 100%, so Skairn's going to be a little bit coarse and rough today. Angry half-elf.
Oh, hello. I'm Tristan, I'm playing Charlie Roughhouse.
We also have Keren.
Yes, Keren Schlink playing Rhylind Westfall, the disgraced Dragonborn commander.
We have Angela.
Yes, Angela playing Abella, the elf who likes to steal things and
fire
do
elves.
fire elves. I don't steal them.
No, you
It's
just
a completely consensual relationship.
It's just been a non-stop fire elf sex party since we left
I'm
off.
not going to say no.
Let's at least introduce Tom.
Tom, the lovely person recording this, having to listen to that closely on headphones.
You're welcome.
And playing Nezor, the halfling bard who's gotten a little bit famous.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. It has been a week since the events of the fire that consumed the Bashanos docks in Areem. Charlie Roughhouse, Gorgeous George, and the party have been invited to stay at Captain Amelie's personal estate as a result of their quick actions in helping to put out the blaze, as well as alerting her to a conspiratorial plot perpetrated by masked assassins. Her home is a large walled complex in a well-to-do part of town. Several different buildings, including one for guests, the mansion proper, and a small garden are all connected by a large open courtyard. For all the space, however, the houses themselves look disused and unlived in, with vines covering the walls and little attention paid to maintenance beyond the bare minimum. George, being identified as a potential target of assailants unknown, has been placed under house arrest with guards stationed nearby to defend him in the event of another attack. Meanwhile, the mood of the city has shifted subtly. After the fight was postponed, celebratory bunting and posters have become to look and feel stale, and the people who travelled from the surrounding countryside have returned home dissatisfied and disgruntled. Meanwhile, the rest pick up the pieces and begin to rebuild from the fire that has consumed most of the dock. With the City Watch now preoccupied with the events of the dock fire and maintaining civil order in the city, Captain Amelie has reached out to the party to ask them to investigate on her behalf. Charlie, you're training at the moment.
Pretty much, a tree's been brought in for him, and he punched it until it fell over. Then he punched it until it was a log.
Is it
And
in a
then-
pot plant?
No, it's a proper tree.
Yeah.
And then he's, dragged the log around, throwing it, doing push-ups with it, bench with it. Basically just using it as weights,
Yeah.
punching things.
Break it, knuckle.
George starts yelling at you from the upstairs window of the house he's been locked in. I would really appreciate it if I could go outside, Chief. Please, can you talk to the mad bitch?
No, George. We don't talk about people who are keeping you alive like that, do we?
Alive, I'm a friggin' prisoner. You can't be serious about this. Look at me. I can't get anything done. Do you know how much more promoting we're gonna have to do to get your profile up? Do you know how many times I'm gonna have to have another conversation with whoever they've got
So
represent?
I sort of put my head up. How tall's the side? Like, up to his second window.
Yeah, he's on the second floor.
Yep. So is there like a roof on the first floor, or is there something I can climb up to get to his window?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a pretty standard wood and stone building, but there are plenty of handle holds. This is kind of narrative, so you don't really need to do a roll for it.
Yep. So I climb up to the window.
Yeah.
And I'll grab him by the scruff and climb back down.
I appreciate that, but can you perhaps put me on the ground?
Yeah, I do. I climb down there.
Throw him out the window, breaks his neck, dies. There we are. End of that
So I
record.
climb down and put him down for a bit of a...
Thank you.
Yeah.
Look, I appreciate the concern. I really do. But the fact that the fight's been delayed has killed profits.
I'm still just punching
Yeah.
the tree and whatnot while he's...
I don't care. You gotta give me a guard, give me a guard. Let me go out and do my business. Oh, hell, let them come here. I don't care. One or the other.
I'm not... Again, I'm sort of, while punching this log, going, I'm not in charge of security here. I'm the guy that punches the tree. You're the guy that talks.
Fine. I'll go talk to someone. And he storms off.
Whatever George says to the guards clearly worked, because later that day you see people coming into and walking out of meetings with him in the house proper. And a little later that day, a coach arrives, drawn by 2 white horses. It's a very fancy stagecoach. You've not really seen something looking this good in the city previously.
Oh, as in vehicle coach? Or
Yeah,
like
coach,
train?
like
Okay,
horse-drawn
yep,
coach.
Yep.
Just charges in and sort of pulls up. And out steps a rather tall, like even by elven standards, tall elf who is absolutely decked out in silver. George walks over and goes, "Corbulo! I didn't think you were going to be here." And the elf turns to him and goes, "Shall we take a ride, Mr. Gorgeous?"
No, I'm the fighter, and since there's been a attempt on my manager's life, he's not going anywhere with someone I don't know.
He looks at George and then looks at you and goes, "Perhaps George should inform you as to who I am." George looks very nervous. "This is Mr. Corbulo. He's the leader of the Maison de Champion. He runs the entire fight circuit."
Oh, okay. It's an honor to meet you and extend my hand out.
Yeah, he takes your hand with his thumb and 2 forefingers and does like a very light shake with it.
Pleasure.
And it's at this point you realise that he's not Bashano. He may be ethnically Bashano, but he's actually from Erhard. The accent is very distinct.
Well, if there's no other concern, I'd rather be going. I have a lunch engagement with the governor.
Okay. I would sort of look at him like, do you want me to come with you?
George shakes his head.
Okay.
No, he's...
I'll sort of like go,
I have no diplomacy.
and then again, just, yeah. I'm just like, that's all right, I know who to come to see if my manager does get hurt.
So George gets into the carriage. He looks very nervous, and Corbulo gets in with him. Roll me a perception check.
He's crooked, isn't he?
17.
As the horse and carriage move out of the small square, you hear from inside,
I'm not angry, George. I'm just very disappointed in you, and you know how I am when I'm disappointed. And that's all you hear as the carriage pulls out of the courtyard and onto the main road. Abella has decided that she wants to try and find DuPont. Is that right?
I have.
Could you please roll me 4 investigation checks?
Cool. Oh, that one's pretty good. 17.
Mm-hmm.
19.
Mm-hmm.
8. And another 19.
Oh, so close, but not good enough, I'm afraid.
The man's gone. He's vapor. Whatever he's done to disappear, it's very, very professional. The only information you have about DuPont is from where he was staying, which is he suddenly left in the morning one day and has not been seen since.
All of his shit was still there.
Yeah, he literally took nothing. He just got up and left.
Well, the next thing I'd investigate is if we could figure out where the gold, like if the gold was possibly stolen recently, would be my next question.
So you're chasing the ingots that Skairn found. You've verified the valuation of them. They're definitely worth about 10,000 ducats each.
But are there any markings, anything that would distinguish
No.
where?
It's gold that's been melted down.
You're pretty certain, due to the purity of the metal, that this is dwarvish gold.
The Morn Kyrak dwarves, they imprint everything with a house seal with like all information about whose gold it is. It's literally engraved on the gold bars. This thing has no identifying marks.
I'd probably just quickly check into the history of the captain.
Captain Ironsides.
It was
Yes,
a
the
dwarf.
guy with the hat. I remember that.
No, worthy of note, because dwarves made the gold. A tenuous link.
Yeah, I'd probably look in to see if anyone in the docks knows him, see if it's got a reputation.
Yep, you don't have to even roll for that. Like, most people know Ironsides. Generally liked by a lot of the people, but they know he's into some sort of shady stuff as well. He actually has a route that runs pretty regularly, so he'll be heading towards the Valen hegemony now, because it's moving into the spice season. So he'll be going in there, picking up a whole bunch of different spices and then bringing them back up to Erhard. What he's actually transporting is, he could be transporting anything.
Is slavery a big thing in the world?
It's not legally recognised. Basically, people can get shanghaied, and like a lot of them actually go to the Unholy Empire.
Yeah,
That's
I would imagine that would be the place where it happened, if it happened at all.
Neat. Now, that's as far as I can't think of anywhere else to take that line of inquiry.
It doesn't sound
That's
like he
about
was
me.
involved with the fire,
No.
even if he
Yeah,
dropped
that's the
stuff
main
off
thing.
for it.
And it would kind of be against his interest to partially destroy the dock anyway.
Yeah.
Rhylind, you want to get these daggers identified. So, who do you want to approach to find out more about this?
Are people who specialise in making weapons?
Yeah, sure. Okay, so you make your way to the industrial area in Areeb's Bashan and Half. As you walk down this laneway, the first couple of people you take the dagger to do the standard thing of trying to look for identifying marks for the craftsman. There's nothing that they can see that identifies any particular person who would make this stuff. So you continue to walk down this laneway, trying every craftsman you can, until you come across an unusual smithy that's being operated by a dwarf. He doesn't speak anything but traditional dwarf, and he has an interpreter who is a rather timid-looking gnome.
Hello, madam. How can I help you?
I'm looking for someone who can speak to me about the use of magic in crafting weapons.
Well, the master here has experience in that sort of thing. I can certainly ask him about it.
Would he be kind enough to examine this for me?
You hear a clatter of metal and dwarven swearing.
He's a little indisposed at the moment, but I'm certain that I can ask him if he would be available in an hour or two.
I get out a ducat.
I could definitely see if he'd be available in half an hour.
I get out another one.
Oh, well, but what do you know? He's actually got an opening.
He turns around and goes,
Master Iron! Master Iron!
the dwarf comes up and rudely thrusts his hand out. It's his sooty mitt just sitting there. And he looks at you and he's like,
I hand him the pair of knives.
and he just sort of twirls it on its point and then weighs it in his hand, and he's actually looking at it like, I'm not, And then he throws it at the wall and hits directly in the middle of a painted target. He goes over, pulls it out, looks at it, looks at the gnome, and barks a few consonants at it, and then hands the blade back to you, and the gnome turns around and goes,
Master Iron couldn't determine exactly what the material is that this is made of, but he has determined that it is in fact a holy weapon of some kind. This has definitely been blessed by some religious sect. I suggest you take this to someone who understands religion.
and he pockets the ducats and tips his hat and goes,
Who pockets the ducats?
the gnome.
The
The
gnome?
dwarf is already back to working. Like,
Okay, the
hammering
dwarf
away.
doesn't care. All right, so I give the gnome the money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I guess I need to go find a priest.
Scan, you're chasing up the cult of the dragon. You're trying to find out if anyone has any information regarding it.
Location would be nice.
How do you want to approach this? Do you want to ask the common man on the street? Do you want to try and inquire with certain officials? What do you want to do?
I think my first port of call would probably have actually been Captain Amelie.
Yeah, look, she would be a perfect source of information, but she is incredibly busy. It is extremely hard to get a hold of her, so...
Your inquiries, not only with Captain Amelie, but other members of sort of law enforcement and other officials, doesn't really bear any fruit. But one of the guards that you're sort of conversing with about this
On one of the many occasions you try to get a hold of Captain Amelie,
suddenly gets very nervous when you start mentioning the cult of the dragon. He's gone a bit white and immediately made an excuse to leave.
And I follow him
Okay.
discreetly.
you follow him out of the civilian portion of the fortress and down the main street.
I assume you said you've pursued him. I'm not
Yeah.
even going to make you do a roll because he's just not paying attention. Hasn't bothered looking over his shoulder and has ducked into a side alley.
Right.
Because I'm assuming you sort of just peek around the corner
Yeah.
to see what he's doing. He seems to be conversing with a sewer grate
Okay.
in hush whispers. And you hear a sort of very high pitch. I guess it would be described like...
Ratman.
No, more... It's a high-pitched sound, but it would be like a high-pitched whisper, like...
Does it sound like
Beaker's down there.
This sounds like a kobold.
Okay.
aha?
I hate fucking kobolds.
Yes. Which you're aware have dragon-like appearance.
They're a small dragon, yeah.
Yeah. And the guard sounds incredibly unenthused by the response of this thing and it starts actually kicking at the grate, he seems very, very flustered and very unhappy about the whole thing.
Is the alleyway easy to exit? Is there another?
Yeah, it's literally it's
basically a passageway, or is it just a dead end?
No, it's a passageway. Like you can see another street. It's a thin, probably about 5 foot across, sort of a little bit windy, but it's between tall buildings.
Is it littered with stuff? Would it be easy for him to run away from me were I to pursue him, say?
You could absolutely pursue him. There is little to no refuse or rubbish in the way. The only thing that's there is the both sides sort of slope down to this grate, which he has been talking into.
I think I will go down the alleyway and tap him on the shoulder.
Okay. He actually doesn't notice your approach, and you do. He started. Goes, "Oh, it's you. What do you want?"
My first question would be, what was the reason? What was the rush to get away from me? You clearly know something of what I speak, so you were lying to me. I wish to know why. You don't have to. Let me tell you, right now, you do not have to tell me what it is you know, but I want to know why you would not tell me.
He is visibly sweating now, and his eyes are looking around behind you and behind himself, and he leans in and he goes, I do not know of this Cultos dragon that you are speaking of. Do you know what lies beneath us?
A sewer system?
Beneath us is a labyrinth, and inside it is an infestation of kobolds. We, the guards, sometimes use them to inform us of goings-ons. We can't kill them all, but we can have an uneasy alliance with them to maintain order. They're the only thing that I know of dragons.
So why did you freak out when I asked you?
Because the higher-ups do not know that I have this arrangement.
Well, let me be honest with you, my good man. I am looking for my sister. I believe she is with the cult of the dragon. That is why I asked. I am not seeking information because of your higher-ups. Do I look like I am one who works for them?
He looks at you. No. No, they have better taste. He seems to relax a little bit there, but he goes, I do not know about this cult. But if it is to do with dragons, I would suggest you either try to speak to Cock, who is the leader of the kobolds who live underneath Orim, or possibly speak to one of the religious figures in the city. They would know more about that than me.
Yeah.
Do not tell my supervisor.
Nein. My word on that one.
The standing arrangement is that we...
Stay up and they stay down?
No, that we go in and we kill them.
Oh, good.
There is actually an active bounty on them, but we have found it more useful, myself and a few friends, to just work with them.
Yeah.
And look the other way when they get up to small things. Yeah. It makes life easier, and also we're not having to risk our lives every day to clear out something that does not come above ground very often.
Thank you for your honesty. I will... My hand...
Are you sure you will not tell my supervisor?
I've already given you my word.
I am sorry that I did not take you more seriously.
Dankeschön.
I wish you luck in finding your sister.
So, suitably reassured, the guard leaves you in the alleyway. Meanwhile, Rhylind.
Where do you want to take this? Where do you want to go?
Which ones were which again?
The Fury is basically about law and order. Often, in fact, most of, if not all, judges are followers of the Fury. Basically, judges are paladins, and they're called justicars because they handle any kind of sentencing involved in any kind of large city. They are predominantly dressed in red and black leather, and a lot of them actually have bells hanging off them from their belts. They often carry either great swords or double short swords.
What about the other types of priests?
In smaller outlying towns, they have clerics that wander the countryside that administer sort of their own brand of justice there. The clerics, they're generally...
like different types of religions, not just specifically this one.
So,
there's the Fury, which is law and justice.
Yeah, so there's Old Grom. Old Grom is a warrior god. He's a god of war. For the most part, he is... sworn on by people who've gone to war and have returned. He's He's mostly about like the after effects of war and why people fight, rather than like some kind of like barbarian demanding skull thrones and rivers of blood and that sort of stuff. No, he's more about caring for people who go and do this traumatic job, because it's often a thankless job. His faith is also circled around caring for the elderly, and his followers generally are clerics that go to war. They're basically like combat medics in most cases. If they're not, they're generally like gravekeepers and people who tend to the dead. But they can also be people who nurse invalids and work in like old age care. The purpose of going to war as a cleric of Grom is to heal people. It's not necessarily to kill them. So they're sort of a more pacifistic set. Some people take that to the point of like, I will not even carry a weapon. My faith is my shield kind of thing. Others are just like, well, killing is an inevitable thing, and Old Grom recognises that. So there doesn't seem to be much of a presence of anyone else. The journeyman is sometimes present, but generally they're at places of learning. So people like librarians would be involved with that.
But there's no libraries.
Yeah, but there's no library, at least not in the surrounds.
Not a public library.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'll go to someone from Olgrim first.
Yeah.
Because if they're healers and medics, they may well have seen people killed by this sort of weapon before. The highest ranking one I can find.
Yep. You find an old lady. It takes you a while to find her as well, because you have to go through a lot of sort of intermediaries. But there is an old age home in the poor slum district. She's quite wizened, but seems to be quite spiritually powerful. As you enter, she puts down her knitting and clasps her hands together and says, "Yes, dearie, how can I help you?"
Good afternoon, madam. Thank you for seeing me. I wanted to show you a weapon, or two weapons actually, and I was wondering if you could tell me anything about the magic that has been laid upon them. These type of weapons were used to kill someone, and I'm trying to find out who, and given that you obviously helped the wounded and ill, that you might have seen or encountered this sort of weaponry before.
Well, of course, my dear, if there's anything I can do to help. So she takes the blade. She holds it in her open palms for a moment, closes her eyes, and mutters under her breath what you think is a prayer to Old Grom. And after a moment, she opens her eyes and looks at the blade, and then you and says, "This blade is strange. It's clearly blessed by the Fury. But its thirst for justice, for righteousness is somehow twisted upon itself. It makes me uneasy to hold this, my child." And she hands it back to you.
It's most helpful. Thank you, madam. Would giving her money offend her?
Probably not. They take donations all the time.
Cool. I'm going to give her a look at it then.
Cool.
Thank you most kindly.
So she takes the coin in her withered, gnarled hand, and then takes your hand in her other hand and squeezes it slightly and says, "These donations mean ever so much to us here. Thank you for your charity, and be safe."
Well, I need to find someone who worships the Fury now.
Which is not hard, because that's basically law enforcement.
All right. Well, then I want to try and find a high-ranking worshipper of the
That
Fury.
would be
Justica?
probably the local Justicar, yeah.
Fine. I want to get an appointment with the local Justica then.
Yep. You're brought into the local courthouse, which is a rather ornate building, very tall, about 3 stories. You're brought in at the tail end of what appears to be a trial. As you walk in, the first thing you notice that everything is very much draped in red. There is a red carpet that's sort of not carpet, it's more like a throw that goes all the way into a 7-sided room. And there is a large table made of granite, and behind it stands a very surly-looking woman who's wearing heavy plate armor, but has a red tabard over it. And every time she gestures and talks, you'll notice that she's got red cloth ending in a bell, about 8 of them at her hips. Roll me let's say, you can either do history or religion, if you'd like.
History or religion? Well, they're both +2.
Yep.
Religion. That's more appropriate. 13.
Okay. You recognise these as penitent bells.
The general theistic idea is that in order to enact justice, you have to sin. So the penitent bells constantly remind you of your sin. Each bell represents someone this person has executed. Generally speaking, the different metal the bell has indicates how many. Gold means a lot. So this person has executed quite a lot of people.
My kind of woman.
Yeah. Which...
Don't hit on her.
At which point, as you enter and sort of brought to the side by a functionary,
You hear her give her judgment, and she says,
this court finds you guilty as charged of murder. I will execute the punishment forthwith. She stands, draws 2 short swords, walks up to the man who's shackled to the floor and is begging for his life, places a blade on both sides of his shoulders and goes, may you find peace in the next life, and just cuts his head.
Guess that's why the carpet's red.
You notice that there's a bit of a stain around where the shackles are held. And she looks up and says, my 4 p.m.
Afternoon.
she wipes the blades, puts them back in the sheaths, and walks over to you.
I was told you wanted to speak to me.
Yes. Are there many people in this room with us?
There's a few clerics. There's 1 or 2 people that are removing the now decapitated criminal.
Is there any wife or spouse crying?
No, actually. She notices you kind of looking at that and goes, don't worry about him. He murdered 4 men.
How very callous of him.
That was a kind execution. By the edicts of our order, he should have been flayed first. But that's neither here nor there. How may I help you? I am Justikar Teach.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Justikar Teach. I was hoping to show you some weapons that I have been informed by others may have been blessed by a worshipper of the Fury, but that the blessing is somehow corrupted or wrong, and they were used...
Her brow furrows at that. Well, then I suppose you'd better show me these weapons.
So I get them out now. I kind of try and show them to her without letting everyone else see what's going on.
I imagine you've got cloth.
I put my body between.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like...
Her eyes shoot straight up the moment she sees this. She goes, where did you find these?
They were used to try and kill somebody.
At that, she goes, leave us.
No.
And everyone in the room just straight up drops what they're doing and leaves, and all the doors close. You actually notice now that there's 7 different ways out of this room, and each one of them are just click, 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 dum.
She steps forward and looks at you earnestly and says,
These weapons are an aberration of our following. She daintily takes the throwing dagger from me and goes, I have not heard of these being used in over 150 years. They were the mainstay of a sect within our order known as the Cadre.
And they also wear bells.
They were expunged once their deeds had come to light, but these weapons indicate that they may still be in circulation. Tell me, how were the assailants dressed?
What's my impression of this woman? Do I feel like I can trust her?
Roll me a insight if you want to know.
Got -1 on insight, Matt. Come on. 11.
She very earnestly wants to know where you got these weapons, and she wants to know now. Everything else, she was sort of thinking, oh, this is going to be a functionary visit. No, you have her absolute undivided attention.
Okay. They're dressed in white. They wore a mask and a mirrored cloak. It was a woman.
You almost see her swear, but she stops herself.
She fixes you with a hard gaze for probably a half a minute, and then she says,
What I'm about to tell you is a secret kept within our order, and as such, I expect you to uphold the oath that we have all taken. I am going to explain to you a shameful part of our order's past. It would seem that a little over 2 centuries ago, certain factions within our order believed that if the king wrongs the peasant, how may a peasant kill a king? And so they took it upon themselves to begin enacting, well, there's no other way of putting it, revenge on behalf of those wronged. They became little better than hired thugs. The theistic logic behind it is spurious at best, but the important thing to note is that we assumed that they had all been killed. And now it seems they've resurfaced. Please tell me everything you know about the cadre.
Well, I'm gonna... Like, these guys all told me about what they found,
Yep.
right? Yeah, so
Sure.
I'm gonna tell her, basically, the general gist of where they were and how many there were. And
Right.
I don't kind of give their names or anything, though. I'm just going to say there was this person there that was trying to kill.
Yeah.
There were 3 of them in 3 different locations trying to kill 3 different people.
She seems very unhappy about this information. And
Oh, and I show her the cut on my shoulder.
Oh, right.
I'm like, nearly got me. Luckily.
I'm very impressed. These weapons are designed to kill on first contact. The fact that you were able to deflect it is very impressive. Have you considered a more theistic existence?
You do me a great honour, madam. It would certainly bear some thought.
Excellent. Well, I am willing to pay quite well for any more information regarding the cadre. And if you'll excuse me, I must now send some pigeons. And she turns on her healing and marches towards the door behind the granite table and turns around and goes, "Oh, let yourself out."
Would we be sharing on this? So I'd heard about this.
I don't know, would you?
They wouldn't get all the gory details because she did ask me to be discreet, but I've given them their, I've given them the broad strokes. They're a group of assassins. They're kind of an offshoot of the Fury of Religion, but...
That is very much the thing that she said not to say anything about.
Oh, fine. Okay.
But you know what they're called?
Yes. They're called the cadre. They're pseudo-religious assassins.
Yeah.
That they're expensive.
Whilst this woman did say specifically don't say that, this is to a group of people who have also experienced them as well.
Yeah,
I can understand Rhylind going, okay, so this doesn't go any further.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I'll probably pretty much just say, look, she said we can't really spread this around because it looks super bad for them, so this is strictly mum.
Yeah.
I probably wouldn't tell Charlie, no offence.
I mean...
Not yet, anyway.
Well, with each of you having done your own little investigative thing, Nezor, what have you been up to?
I'm assuming you're not just gigging at the Chevrolet de Coq.
No, hopefully bigger and bigger shows and kind of performing my art to as many people as I can.
Okay, you know what? I think we've teased the audience enough. We need to hear one of Nezor's songs. All right, well, why don't we set the scene? I think you've managed to find like a small dive bar not too far away from the Chevalier. It's sort of an underground music space, very cheap beer. It's very much for the youth in the city. And then you walk out in full costume makeup. Why don't you set the stage for me? Why don't you describe to me what this room is like and also how you're dressed and how you start your act?
Yeah, well, I guess I would have tried to find a bar that caters a bit more to the underground, as you said, underground, both guessing physically and clientele-wise, those who are a bit more into the alternative, into a little bit avant-garde and away from what society might normally look for. It's probably quite dimly lit, but very purposefully lit. There is that, I guess, appreciation for making things look dark and scary, a little bit foreboding. The crowd probably just keeping to their own until I walk on stage and you'd see, well, I guess it's a mix of what I'd normally wear. So I'm still wearing my kind of dark pants and my fairly normal shoes, but jacket of 100 tiny pockets because that's important to me. Most of it is, I guess, above the neck, or on the neck you would see my ruff. It's a big frilly neck thing that's a little bit tattered and torn, but still quite clean and well looked after. It's quite old. It's a family heirloom that's been passed down to me because I'm the only one out of my family that wanted it because I was the only one that thought it looked cool. But then above my neck you would see my very painted face. Lots of white makeup over everything and then black spots to accentuate. I say spots, more shapes all across the lips and then very specific kind of gnarly, pointy shapes on the eyes tonight. I do change it up every now and then, but tonight's very aggressive, sharp, but destroyed look. So I might have forced a couple of tears to get things a bit runny and smudgy. You could almost almost call it death metal-esque, all that old black metal stuff. So I take to the stage and I play a small little ditty and summon my mage hand, which starts laying down a beat on the side of my guitar. And I introduce myself. Hi, I'm Nezor. I will be playing a few original songs for you tonight. This first one is about a vampire warlord who lived 1,000 years ago in the north, and his love for an elven maiden.
Yeah, fangs into their neck, a flash of blood then death, spike into their head, severed from the neck, my beauty flaming red, you're running from the dead, your feet are cut and bled, be careful where you tread, I promise of no pain, my affections are no game, you'll never be the same, with power or untamed, I'll give into myself, so run my little elf, before the end of night, you will be by my side. Die for me, let me kill you, please. I love the way your breath rises your chest, but let me end that. Oh, die for me, girl. Join with me, girl. Come now, calm yourself. Become my darling little elf. Yeah. Tremor in your palm will soon be still and calm. Your life will never end. The flow of time will bend with steel stained blood red. Your family now is dead. Now you can be mine until the end of time. A month along the road, your taste I do still hold. These men shall die tonight, their heads upon my spike. Your cries are in my mind. My queen tonight shall dine. Let the lust consume. Our wilted love shall bloom. For me, girl, let me kill you, please. I love the way your breath rises your chest, but let me end that. Oh, die for me, girl. Join with me, girl. Come now, calm yourself. Become my darling little elf. I found you now at last, now come forget your past. Your mortal life's a blip compared to what will live. Why do you defy? This power cannot hide. Girl, now stay your hand, obey all my commands. A knife into your side, why do you take your life? My teeth into your throat, you will not die tonight. My curse will see you through, do not leave me on my own. Your heart is strong and true, a wail, a curse, a moan. Live for me, girl, please don't die now, please. You're all I need to make my still heart feel like it's complete. Oh, live for me, girl, stay this bleed. My power, it can save you. Let it in, girl, please, girl, live, girl, please.
There is just a deafening silence in this room, and then you hear, like, way in the back, you hear a and then someone goes, and the rest of the crowd just joins in. It's like 10 people.
Look, I don't really mind as long as those 10 people enjoyed it. I'll continue to play my songs about death, love, and everything else.
Okay, well, after each of you have done your own thing during this sort of period of time over the last week or so, you have all been returning back to your home in Amelie's mansion estate and you've all been looking at the map that you found in Dupree's quarters, which indicates that there's something at the fortress, that there's something at the dock, that there's something in the slums, that there's something at the north gate, and that there's something on the bridge. Just as importantly, in the evening, Emily has invited you all to meet her at the administrative offices at the fortress so that she can talk to you about what you've been up to over the last couple of days with regards to your investigations into the masked assassins and the mysterious map. Nezor, as you pointed out, you would have probably the most spare time out of everyone because you're only gigging at night.
Yep. So I think after the fire, I wouldn't be the one to sit us all down, but I would say we would all sit down and discuss the fact that the dock was on the map and something happened there, and there's other symbols and other things that presumably will happen.
I'm going to chime in with, if you're going to hide shit, sewers are an excellent place to do that. That would be worthy of investigation, I would think. Particularly, like, you wouldn't, I would imagine smuggling something into and hiding it in the castle would be difficult. Underneath the castle, however.
Eminently possible.
I'd probably put my hand up to scout some areas out.
There are 5 locations, one of which exploded. So I guess there's 4 locations unless you want to check the wreckage.
I still would.
I, as a sailor, I think I would have some affinity for port locations. I could certainly check out the
liquor store.
It takes you a little while to get access to the dock because there's a lot of cleanup happening and a lot of complaining owners of stuff that got burnt. Emily is basically spending her time when she's not organising, the watch, dealing with complaints.
Is there cleanup or is she investigating?
She's overseeing everything.
Yeah, I would assume they wouldn't touch everything until they've had a look at it.
No,
they wouldn't start clearing it out. They would have their detectives in there.
Unfortunately, they're not like CSI.
True, but they wouldn't just go, okay, let's just move this out of the way.
But basically they're going through and clearing rubble and seeing what they can discover.
Yeah.
They don't even know what caused the fire at this stage. There's just a lot of destroyed, or at the very least badly smoked. Like, for instance, there was a container of fish which became smoked fish because it got cooked.
Not well smoked fish.
No, not the kind that you would consume.
The kind you find and then throw up into
the kind that you turf into the river because it's no longer worth.
Throw away or throw up into?
Throw up into. It's like,
like each individual fish.
Its mouth.
Next.
Puffs up.
That's what Angela's doing.
Yes.
Okay, so vomiting into.
I'm not actually doing that, no.
You're probably too busy talking to the fire elves, who are still clearing away.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Are we all at the docks together?
Well, that's
or were we splitting up and investigating each of the areas?
I think investigating individually would be a lot less conspicuous.
Charlie would be happy to go to the stronghold, considering everyone else seems to be concerned about going to their military fortress.
That would be nice.
Charlie would be
I'd
happy
rather
to
not,
do that.
walk in there and be like, oh, hey, do you mind if I have a look in your sewers?
I think
Nezor could go with Charlie, though, with relatives.
No, I would definitely stick with someone.
You're welcome to come with me.
Yeah, whoever wants me.
I think teams, but I don't think we'd want to go solo.
Yeah.
Especially if there's some dangerous stuff going.
While they go there, the rest of us could go to the docks and check that out.
Visual purposes, whenever someone comes in or out of anywhere, Charlie's always in the same spot lifting a tree. So, whether it's early in the morning, late at night, you head out to go...
Punch it, lift it, punch it.
You go out to do your gig. Charlie's in the courtyard lifting. You come back. That sort of he has 20-minute power naps every 3 hours.
Morning, Charlie. How's the tree lifting going?
Still heavy.
Still heavy. Fantastic. Means it's still doing something good.
But so at any point, someone just needs to come up and say, Charlie, can you give me a hand with this? And Charlie will be, for argument's sake, awake.
All right, so you guys are checking the port and you guys are checking the
fortress.
The fortress.
I'm going to rock up to the front of the door. Nezor.
Yep.
But actually, before I do, would I have been, Emily will be at the fortress, one would assume?
Yeah, she's barely home.
Because I was going to say, if Emily's running about picking up some lunch while I was out.
For her?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know busy people So
Sure. Yeah, no, she
I was
would've-
more thinking if we're near the North Gate, we go and check that out if it was on the map.
Basically, he was sort of going to suggest, I'll go get some, lunch. Me and you can sit down, have a beer and a feed, and then we'll head on our way. So yeah, I'll nip out and I'll grab, a nice roast lunch for Emily and drop it off, and then I'm going to see her and ask whether we can help whether we can help with the investigation. I'm not going to start nosing around the fortress and then what are you doing?
For the sake of expediency, she's very polite, but says you can't look around the fortress because it's Bashano and you're Erhart. It would be a complete dereliction of duty for her to let you have. She's sure you're a lovely man. She's actually quite nice to talk to, but no.
Again, not to teach you how to suck eggs, but because the images seem to be barrels, are you expecting any influxes of gunpowder or anything? You don't need to tell me, just check that sort of thing out.
I will take that under advisement.
Yes. On the way through and out, though, I do want to do an investigation. I can imagine you do the same. Sort of looking for, when we leave, anyway, in, any drainage in the walls or stuff like that.
Okay, so not only is it a fortress that's defensible by sea and by land, it's a fortress that has the governor in it. Yeah. His house is here. There are a lot of the Bashano High Command here. Yeah. It is heavily, heavily guarded. The garrison is based here. This is also where the prison is, and the prison is on massive lockdown. It looks like all the deliveries are handed by 2 gates. The one that faces the Erhart side, which for the sake of argument we'll call the North Gate, and the one that faces the Bashano side, which if we use the same logic we'll call that one the South Gate. It's almost like a thoroughfare in a way. Yep. Most military convoys come through there for civilian use. They go through the North Gate. Everything is searched. They are even if it's from the Bashano side, they do go through and check manifests and stuff like that. Potentially, someone could sneak something in from the Bashano side, coming into the city. Coming from the city, though, no, everything is searched.
What about in the ground access to underneath? I would assume there would be functioning sewerage.
You can roll me an investigation check. So you're looking for basic drainage access.
Anything that sort of doesn't seem 24.
There are definitely toilets.
Is there any access to underground around within the
nothing you can see? There is nothing here that you rolled really well. But this place looks like it would take...
It's understandable. It's a fortress.
Yeah, put it this way. It would take sustained sieging to get in here.
Yeah. And that's what I was sort of more looking for because it's more entrance of finesse as opposed to an entrance of force.
It's less a fortress and more a redoubt, which is basically a fortress inside a fortress. Yep. And each gate has its own sort of building within it, like a tower. Like I said, the one that's facing towards the city is basically the administrative block. The one that's facing out is the military barracks. The governor's estate, effectively, and all the upper echelons of the Bashano are facing towards the sea. The place is rimmed by cannons.
The people around here, is it very much just military?
The overwhelming majority are either city guards, military, officers, the elite that are sort of involved with, the governance of the city. Yep. There are a few administrative clerics, clerks, and the occasional civilian, but the civilians are generally in the administrative area.
Yeah. But it's not there's not sort of a...
Traders don't come through here particularly often, if that's what you're asking, no. Like I said, it's basically supply convoys or, food rations that come through the front gate.
I was doing the same thing, apart from politicians who are politicians are dicks. Yes. The only thing would be one of them being paid off, but I don't think the Bashano would work with the Erhart in any way, shape, or form, even if they were a politician.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. It doesn't seem this place is the most highly guarded place. Now that you've actually been able to go inside, you can see that the central area. It looks like it was once upon a time designed to be pulled by hundreds of beasts of burden to actually realign and load, because there's this massive, massive trebuchet. And there are actually grooves in the ground that look like they probably stored ammunition at one point. What you do notice is that there is this lady in red with bells hanging off her, wander into this place and then wander out, flanked by flunkies.
Are there any, because we're not getting let into the North Gate or the fortress, are there any other, what's the next closest point of interest?
You could either go to the bridge or the slums.
Because you're at the docks, correct? Where were you guys checking out?
With them.
Oh, so you all
We
went
all
to the
went.
dock?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
yeah.
it's not inconspicuous for the three of us to be
So what we'll do then is,
I feel like the bridge you're going to get noticed more, but the slums are probably going to be a bit more dangerous.
well, I'm not worried about danger. But what I was going to say, we'll sit down and we'll have our lunch while you guys check out the docks.
What you notice, actually, since you're talking about being noticed in general, has been that people are actually paying Nezor quite a lot of attention. It's kind of gone around that this guy who's dressed up like a weird clown.
Well, I'm not just up all the time, but...
No, well, I assume
you do
would.
the rough all the time?
No, rough's part of the costume.
Right. But they go...
They still recognise.
It's more they've heard of you because you're with Charlie. It's like the halfling who was with Charlie.
The clown.
The clown saved the day kind of thing. Like, all their houses would have burnt down if not for the clown. But, yeah, so you get sort of well-wishers and people waving, kids waving, that sort of stuff. So you're actually starting to get a little bit of a feel of what it's like to be Charlie on a daily basis.
For the most part,
For the most
Like a Freaky Friday swap.
Except that I am still famous.
Yeah.
And next to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll just head down to the
Sure.
Chalet de Coq or whatever. And
Down at the dock, what are you doing?
Are there fire elves?
Yes, they are.
Angela's not much doing else then.
not much doing else.
Yeah, well, you know,
That
it's-
just my brain's going.
I'm going to go and see if I can figure out where the explosion happened.
Yeah.
I'm keeping in mind where the fire elves are and looking,
At
but
all
I'm
times.
also helping.
Sure. And is Rhylind doing anything in particular?
Yep, she's just tagging along, I think.
Right, cool.
She is also helping.
Okay, so after a while, it becomes pretty apparent to you that the explosion originated near where the slip for the Joy was.
Right.
It seems like that's not the only, it's not the only location where there was a fire started. There were probably two other spot fires, either started simultaneously or the explosion created them. And has rapidly spread since then. One thing you do notice is that amongst the rubble and the scrap, which hasn't actually thankfully been cleared away entirely by the fire elves yet, who are actually working nearby, is there is a number of metallic objects that have all been twisted and burnt and melted. It's like half... Like there's a lot of for instance, axe heads, a lot of harpoons and fishing implements as well. But it's very difficult to determine if there's anything specific to the cargo that you guys saw before because there's just been so much destruction.
I'm wondering if this explosion wasn't necessarily on purpose, at least from the people who planted the weapons. Maybe this was someone trying to stop whatever rebellion was trying to
Whatever
arise. I don't know.
dastardly deed this map indicates.
Yes.
No, I agree.
Whatever dastardly deed was arising from the weapons, someone was trying to stop it. Methinks.
Roll me an investigation.
Yeah, 3.
The sea is very calm.
It
today.
is, isn't it? I like the sea. It's
19.
19? Great.
13.
13. You almost miss it, Rhylind, but
Eye on the fire elves.
yeah, Abella is just like half the time. These guys are still shirtless.
Oh, I know.
But
I'm in no way distracted by the topless men.
you actually, you hear the water is calm, but there is still obviously movement and waves. It's just a very low sort of sound. But you actually hear the waves crashing and then a ka-thunk. The waves are hitting something and then the waves hitting something else. And it seems to be coming underneath part of the destroyed dock.
Can I look over the side?
Yeah. You see a sewer entrance.
I attract the attention of
Me,
Skairn.
and with some difficulty, her.
What?
I eventually throw a bit of rubble at her.
Yeah.
What? What are we pointing at? Fire elves.
If I climb down to look at the sewer, am I going to get wet?
Yes. It's deep enough that a boat can...
Yeah, that's true.
More
It's
in.
pretty bloody deep.
All right, I hand my axe to... Well, I call you guys over. I'm like, hey, so I don't know about you guys, but if I was going to sneak into a dock area and blow something up, I'd come out through the sewer.
If I was going to sneak something into a city, I would use a sewer to do so, and then possibly explode the docks to hide the evidence. One way or the other. This is a good point. Do we want to swim? Do we want to check it out? Do we want to get a boat? A little boat.
I was going to say, will a boat fit in
A
the
dinghy
sewer?
would. Not in the sewer, but up to it.
Is that necessary?
Guys, I'll just climb down and have a look.
While you're doing that, the fire elves are actually a little bit, not agitated. They're like, "What are you? Excuse me, Madame, Monsieur. What are you doing here?"
I thought I'd just go for a swim.
Care to join me?
You guys
Roll.
are looking a bit flustered.
Roll me a persuasion.
She's lying, it's deception.
No, she's...
Oh, no, that's right, they don't have
18.
deception anymore.
So
18? Yeah, no, she's... They're like, oh, okay. Okay. Like, whatever they thought you're up to, you've clearly assuaged their doubt.
swimming.
It's a little overcast.
I like swimming. This is something I am known for.
I was just gonna, sit down on the edge of the dock and, act casual like.
And just kick her over the
Let's
edge.
be casual. I continue climbing down.
Sure. Roll me an athletics check to see if you get down fine.
7.
No, you fall in the water.
You okay?
You slip on...
Yep.
Ahead of you, you see a sewer grate entrance that is very dark.
Also ill.
Is it blocked?
It's got grates on it, but they're large enough that you could slip through. Someone as slight as you could absolutely slip through.
Yeah.
But it would, like a boat, wouldn't necessarily be able to get through it.
Could have Rhylind?
Rhylind could probably fit.
I'm going to peer through the grates first to see what I can see.
Okay, you see a dark tunnel.
What can you see?
A dark tunnel.
Good to know. You've got a torch on you.
No, but I do have dark vision, I'm pretty sure.
You do, but even then, it's like there's dark vision. You can see that it's a tunnel, but you also know there's an absence of light. It's like it just goes straight in.
Can I get Hrosh to go down and possibly emit a small...
Dark vision she can see within 30 feet of
Like, the
her.
problem is not
black
that
and
there's...
white.
The problem is not that there's things I can't see. It's just I can see that there's not things.
Yeah, that's it. There's nothing down there. Like, it's literally just a tunnel that seems to be going in. Like, if you went in further by yourself, you could have a look by yourself.
Is there any evidence of...
That ominous.
Is there any evidence of passage or people coming and going?
I will look for this.
Sure, roll me a perception.
18 again.
Actually, interestingly, there appears to be a small pulley attached to the roof of the entrance, just over your head.
Hey, Skairn.
Yeah?
Interestingly, there appears to be a small pulley over the entrance, just by my head.
Oh, yeah. That is interesting.
I thought so.
Can any of us divine what this might have been used
Can
for?
I climb up to closer inspect
How
the
high out of
pulley?
the water is the sewer entrance?
So it meets the tide line, and then there's about 5 foot between it and the bottom.
I'm going to climb up and have a closer look at the pulley.
Sure, okay. Just roll me a dex check. Shouldn't be an issue. Beat a 10.
10.
Oh, yeah, you're fine. Equals beats. Yeah, you're up there. Look, this pulley was recently installed, and by recently, probably within the last couple of years. It's got, like, fibres from what looks like rope sort of mashed up in the sides of it. From where it is, and if you look down the tunnel, there's probably another pulley further down. They probably literally just run a rope and then feed stuff through here, and that probably goes down at the end of something.
Cool.
So it's the smuggler's tool effect. Yeah.
Yeah.
I will report all of that back to Skairn and Rhylind.
Interesting.
I thought so. I could just nip forward a bit and investigate.
Sure. You do so. You swim down into the dark, and yeah, much to confirm what you've thought, there is another pulley, and then another pulley. I'm assuming you're just sort of following the pulleys.
Yes, but carefully.
Carefully, of course. Like, it's
Yeah.
pretty easy. After a while, you actually feel that the surface is gradiated up, and you actually stand. And what it comes out at is basically a sluice that runs in from a higher level. So you're about probably... The gradient has come up to the point where you're now standing comfortably in a sewer system, but the sewer system is probably about 3 foot under the ground. All you can tell is that there were perhaps some objects here recently, just because there's scuff marks on the floor. Roll me a perception check.
13.
For a brief second, you almost feel like you're being watched. But then it's gone. The feeling of whatever it was is gone.
Do you hear a high-pitched
Yeah, I'm
talking
gonna-
noise?
I'm going to have a look around me. So is it... The tunnel kind of keeps going further and then ends at like a sluice? Is
Yeah,
that...
it kind of comes to like a sewer sluice that runs into where basically you're walking up the sluice.
Okay, yeah.
So, and then you're in an area that's relatively flat. There was something here, and then the sewer heads off in a left-right direction, but that's about it.
And there's nothing above me, to the side, nothing, no marks?
No, it's completely... Well, actually, you have Thieves Guild experience, so actually give me another investigation check.
14.
14. You almost miss it, but there is a subtle etching into the cracks of the actual stone that make up the walls of this that indicate a direction. It's like they've basically chipped out the mortar. The thing is pointing left. There's not much else you can gather from this, so I'm just going to assume that you return to the dock to find Skairn and Rhylind.
Okay, cool.
I'm blowing smoke rings.
I'm being impressed by her smoke rings.
Very cool. Okay, so the slums and gate is yet to be searched, as is the bridge. Do you guys want to do that?
Nezor and Charlie are going to head to the slums. I'm just going to look around, see if there's, like, armed people, anything like that. I'm not really planning on engaging people.
No.
Roll me an investigate check each.
So once we're in the slums, I, in that case, cast Enhance Ability on myself using the Fox's Cunning perch of it. So I get advantage on intelligence checks.
Mine's only 10.
So that's 17, and that
It's cocked, re-roll it.
yeah. 12, so 17.
Yep. You notice that there are a number of sewer grates that appear to have been jimmied open.
Yeah, so there's
is something.
scratches, there's...
Yeah,
it
it's been
looks
moved.
like it's been moved, yeah.
Yeah, that's about the only thing. Other than that, you see all like the poor and disaffected just wandering about.
Do they recognize us? Are we getting...
Oh yeah, like you will get the occasional look, but look, I mean, these are the poor of the Basham side. They're not particularly interested in you. It's more the well-to-do, middle class, upper class that care. Although, that being said, a few people kind of give you an appreciative nod, Nezor, and other people like smile but kind of keep away from you, Charlie.
Is there any sort of things I can help with while we're here, like carts with their wheels fallen off for old ladies crossing the road?
Yes, absolutely. There is an old woman who comes out of what looks like an old age home.
Help her, she might be a witch.
Well, I'll sort of, as I walk by, I'll sort of greet her. So, evening, ma'am.
Good evening, Sonny.
Where are you heading today?
I'm just going to go see my grandchildren.
I can accompany you if you wish.
Oh, no, I wouldn't want you to be inconvenienced because of me.
It wouldn't be an inconvenience.
Oh, trust me, you must have more important things to do. Don't you need to train for a big fight, young boy?
I've been training all hours, so...
Well, I won't say no, but you've got quite a champion to beat, young Sonny.
Yes, well, that's for my concerns, and right now my concerns are helping you safely on your way.
Oh.
He says this, and I'm like pointing to the sewer grate, going like, really?
I'm just like,
Really?
Well, I'm just over here. Why don't we walk?
And you walk her to her grandson's place. I've got this mental image of Charlie, this massive man, helping an elderly woman down the street as she points out different things in different stalls, maybe stopping to like smell some flowers. The traffic is just trying to get around you, but it's not working, and Nezor's just following you, probably getting a little bit trampled underfoot by people who are just relieved when you move out the way. When you arrive, she's greeted at the door. You're respectfully thanked, but you get the impression that he doesn't like you.
that's
grandson.
perfectly fine. Like, I don't expect everyone's going to be like, oh, and I'll sort of
Like,
be
he
like,
shoots you a dark look as he closes the door behind his granny.
yeah, I'll like, as,
Yep.
I'll sort of thank her for, the conversation and her insight. Like, I would ask her, about
She's
the
actually
fight and
she's
whatnot
actually
as well.
quite versed in boxing.
And that's it. Like, I would definitely be asking for advice.
Her husband, who passed 20 years ago, rest his soul, was actually a boxer. Not a particularly proficient
he still
one, but he boxed. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, so I'll thank you for the conversation, send her on her way.
Great.
Like, and even when the guy sort of shoots me a look, I'll sort of nod at him, like, understanding, like, I get it.
Yeah. What's up? Took care of your mom. Or your grandmom?
I'm your daddy now.
I'm your granddaddy now.
You just call me granddaddy.
I'm joking. Yeah, while we're having a look around the city, just if there's things that, people need a hand with, I'll sort of help them on the way by. And
It's getting late, but yeah. Anyway, so you do that. You are all doing good. Now, the others, you are heading to the gate, was it, or the bridge?
What's not Nezor going to check out a fucking sewer grate?
There's sewers that have been moved. I'd like to
No,
look in here.
Charlie's taking off with this old lady.
I've helped the old lady because she was there while, I've gone, I can't really see much. Oh, there's someone that needs a hand.
Yeah. Okay, so what
you can say to me, there's shit going on over here, and I'll...
Yeah. So I say to Charlie, so
There's
these...
shit going on over here.
Have you not seen him making faces?
I just figured he was being expressive, like a bard.
Definitely something up with at least this one sewer. I'd like to check out if there were more and if there's something going on here.
Do you want to check
a look
out the
down.
sewer?
No, I want to see if this is the only sewer grate that has been moved.
Other than that one that you saw, there doesn't appear to be any others.
We can go and invest. If you bring it up, I'm happy to lift the grate up.
Yeah, no, I think we should investigate.
Sure. Okay, so you do that. And directly inside is it looks like it's probably a catchment of some kind, but there's a lot of, I guess you call it storage space, the equivalent of. And the reason you know this is because there are a number of crates there. And you immediately recognise them as part of the cargo from the Joy.
Yep. No, I'll definitely have a look in these ones, see if any of them contain weapons is what I'm really hoping for.
The crates are all empty. Nezor, this is easily over a third of the cargo that was on the ship.
So there is something serious going on here. Still a bit of hay in there, but nothing important.
It's like they've been all emptied.
Well, this seems like an update that we can give Emily.
Definitely. And the others, in case there's anything they've seen.
Oh, certainly.
Yep.
I imagine we would have planned to meet up.
Probably at the end, yeah.
Yeah.
We're all staying in the same house,
Yeah. I'm assuming we would be updating each other on each of our travels unless there's something personal that they wanted to keep.
Yeah.
Because a little bit of metagaming, I'm worried they're arming the kobolds.
Honestly,
Things living in the sewers.
this information actually pretty much informs very much the other half of my investigation that I didn't know about at the time. My questions to the sleeping policeman would have been significantly more aggressive had I known about the weapons in the sewers.
Yeah.
You guys are going to the bridge, correct?
Yeah.
Yep, so you mosey up to the bridge, and there is a stronger than normal, from what you've seen, of course, Bashano presence there. Military, yes, absolutely. These these guards are not like the ones you saw at the festival, which were sort of wearing more like dress screens. These guys are wearing armour, and there's a selection of them standing nearby having a smoke. So they've got large muskets and sabres. There's a number of them that are actually patting down people as they come through.
I would see that there's a Bashano guards and go, hey guys, there's guards there. I'm going to hang back. So I will casually loiter at the mouth of the bridge. You are welcome to go forward if you like.
On the bridge is where we wanted to go anyway. I'll leave my weapons with these two.
Yeah.
And take a jaunt up the bridge and just check it out.
Sure.
But I'm not expecting to find as much on the bridge as I would expect to find underneath it, but it's worth at least looking. Investigate?
Yep.
One.
Not only do you not get to investigate, the moment you step on a bridge, an armed Bashano guard comes straight up to you and puts his hand up. Male Gauntlet goes, I don't really care whether or not you have papers half-breed. Just know that I'm going to make your day a little more difficult. This elf just sneers at you.
So, Skairn, how does one flip off someone in this?
How would you like to have that represented? I'm curious.
Yeah, if you're a Bashano,
Yeah, that's right. You tap your head and stick your tongue out at them.
that's the Bashano insult for... Go fuck yourself.
Actually, I want name and rank.
You're in no position.
I think you'll find I might be.
I highly doubt that. Now move on, or I'll have you arrested.
Go for it.
Right, you two. He turns around and clicks.
Oh.
The rest is half-breed.
Take me to the prison. Show me to your Captain Amelie. She is a friend of mine.
Oh, likely story.
I am staying in her house.
And yeah, he's scoffing at that. And yeah, you get dragged off, I'm assuming, by the arms.
This bit's smug as fuck. Like,
Skairn is dragged away by two guards.
I'm like, what the fuck did he do?
I am not surprised.
Keeping the hammer.
I'm not carrying it.
There was a
Why
reason.
do I always end up carrying the heavy shit around?
You're the strongest.
What?
I love this conversation.
You're not here. Shut up.
With your big, muscly arms, Rhylind. You're so big and strong. Well, do we want to keep investigating the bridge, or do we want to do something about?
He doesn't look upset.
No.
Don't worry, all good.
Let's just investigate the bridge. It's fine.
Shall we follow these and make sure Skairn gets out? Like, he says he's okay, but frankly, I want to see the look on their faces when Captain Amelie turns up to bust him out of there, so should we follow
I hope
and
she doesn't.
reconvene?
Skairn's not being a dick. They're being a dick.
What's the other place that we should possibly investigate?
Oh, it's the gate. The northeast gate.
Let's be realistic. Skairn is going to be fine. If anything else, I pity the guards. Not because he's in any danger to them right now, but just he's probably going to fucking annoy them or something. Anyway, let's just
He's
go
probably singing that really annoying sea shanty.
Which one? There's so many.
So you, I guess, toddle off to the northeast gate. Skairn.
I can walk. I'll come with you. I want to see the look on the face.
They do bring you to your feet, and then one punches you in the gut.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Rush Bernie's face.
Rush is definitely not happy, and the other guard makes a swipe at him. Basically a
Seriously,
backhand.
it's not going to it's not going to stop him.
If I wanted the opinion of a barbarian, afraid I'd ask.
And then he punches you in the gut again. You let through the portcullis into the prison tower and are unceremoniously thrown into an oubliette. It's basically a hole with a roof door, and you're left there.
All this for trying to go onto a bridge.
For ignoring
For being arrested.
official orders of the government.
So it's a hole in the ground.
Hole in the ground
Is
with
there
a gate.
any grates or anything?
Basically stone on all sides. However, after about an hour and a half of being in the dark, the oblique door is opened and a ladder is brought down, and a very, very unhappy-looking racist elf is standing at the top, and he goes,
So it appears you were telling the truth?
Sorry about I didn't hear that.
I extend to you an apology from the Bashana Republic for my conduct, and if you'll excuse me, I now must report for lettering duty.
That is quite all right. Thank you very much, good man.
I would ask for a personal apology as well, isn't it? Like,
No, this is really what I was wanting. This is much better than punching him in the stomach myself.
yeah, so you're unceremoniously turfed out of the prison, but you get the impression that if you were in trouble, you would just be thrown into an oblique and probably forgotten about.
Yeah.
It's not a pleasant place.
No.
So,
About that time, I guess these guys...
how long was he in that hole?
Hour and a half.
Hour and a half.
yeah, we've definitely got back to
Can I, on the way out,
Yeah.
I'm being presumably escorted, but not frog-marched.
No.
Can I eyes out anything, spot anything out of place?
The place is an absolute fortress. Literally and
So
metaphorically.
nothing to build on what they've learned.
Unfortunately not. Other than that, the oblique is a sub-level prison cell. Krosh did not enjoy the experience one jot.
I will comfort him on the way out.
Yeah, he's not been feeling great anyway, so yeah. After all this, the sun is starting to get quite low in the sky, so you have enough time to investigate the gate. Rhylind and Abella, since Skairn was detained, I think you're probably the only people that are going to be anywhere near it and that are going to be able to spend the time required to investigate the area. So we'll say that happens, and then you, I guess, all make your way to the fortress to meet up with Amelie.
I'm so armed right now.
So armed,
The guards
baby.
can't even handle me right now.
So armed.
I kind of do the kind of chin lift today. Pretty warm. Hey.
They look confused and then away from you.
How many weeks?
Anyway, what does the gate look like?
It's quite imposing. It's a large stone gate. It looks like it has an inbuilt tower. There are a number of cannons, actually, facing outwards, although they look like they've not been used forever. The large metal portcullis seems to be permanently raised to a point where it's letting traffic in. There are also two very large-looking stone gate doors that appear to be retracted slightly into the thing, so it looks like they probably trundle out on like a guide from some kind of internal mechanism.
So
Looks like it. Yeah, sorry.
So that's rather than using the portcullis, they'd use these.
Yeah, if they wanted
gates.
to close it out, that would be it. Stone is a very odd choice until you realise that looks actually like some kind of dwarven design. So they probably contracted this out.
Dwarves, the whole thing's dwarves.
Well, we should do some looking around, maybe for...
That sounds like a good idea.
Sure. Roll me some investigation. And is there anything you're particularly looking for, or just suspicious activity in general?
Anything suspicious, but given we saw the sewer with the thing at the docks, I'd have a particular interest in anything.
Sure.
Plumbing-wise.
Absolutely.
Or arrow-wise.
Okay.
Oh, fuck me. 6.
8.
Look, this is a very well-travelled area. There are a lot of people moving in and out, both cartiers moving stuff out of the city and in. It's very hustle-bustle. It's very difficult to get a beat of any kind of anything. After an hour or so, you basically give up. It's nigh on impossible. You're almost actually run down once or twice by people on horseback that look like messengers, official messengers of some
I
kind.
wave one of my many weapons at them.
They don't even... It's like Pony Express. They don't even stop to look back.
Just alternate. Axe. Warhammer.
Yeah,
club.
a guard eventually comes over and asks you to stop waving your weapons in the air because it could be construed as aggressive action, and they doesn't want to do the
apologies,
paperwork.
good man. My friend needs someone to carry these for him. It's kind of fun having all of these. Don't worry, I'm not here to cause trouble. Just having a good time.
Can I have another look around to see if there are any suspicious crates lying around?
You think you see something until you're almost run down by a coach. A very ornate, very, very flashy-looking coach.
I resist the temptation to wave a weapon at it.
Yeah. And
I'm proud of you.
And for a brief moment, you see a very moneyed-up looking elf. He's wearing a lot of silver. And he just completely disregards you. But you basically spin, and you just barely avoid being drawn
And then I
under
fucking bolt is what I do. I'm like, run up to Rhylind.
Yeah.
Did you forget my fucking name?
I was thinking of some other name that's
Well, I
similar
have been
to
telling
Rhylind.
everyone I'm Mathilde lately, so yeah, it's legit.
So but let's go. There's nothing here to look at. Nothing at all. It's time for us to leave.
Can I do
Let's
one
go.
last look around, just in case? Because I feel like there should be something here, and I just need to roll higher than a 4. I rolled a 6. Plus 2, so 8.
It's just too busy. It's nearing the end of the day. Everyone who came into the city in the morning is either leaving, or the night trade is starting to come in as well, like the people who supply stuff overnight. There's almost constant activity.
I'm guessing.
All right, let's go.
Yeah. Time
Getting
to go home.
backache from all these weapons anyway.
All right, so you eventually all rejoin back at the fortress and ushered into the chambers of Emily.
Thank you for coming and seeing me at such short notice, she says as she walks into the room behind you. And she looks at you all and goes, "So,
Today I would like to know, of course, what you have been up to and what you have found."
Firstly, may I say thank you?
Oh, of course. Mr. Skairn, I must apologize, of course, for the actions of that officer. As I believe he was instructed to tell you, he has been assigned to latrine duty permanently.
Don't know why you're apologising.
I didn't do anything.
This,
I wanted to go onto a bridge.
you will find that here I run a very tight ship.
sometimes we have people, however, that, hold prejudices towards some of our more strange fellows.
Yeah, this has been my observation. This is what I was not worried about.
So she struts over to her table and throws her cape off onto
nearby.
Dead corpse.
No,
The dude who stopped me on the bridge.
no, there's a coat rack thing. There's like a. She throws it onto the and sits down and massages her ear where the prosthetic sits. It looks up and goes, "So please, tell me what you have found from your investigation."
Well, I guess a bit of backstory. The ship we came in on was definitely carrying cargo that they did not want you to know about.
Ah, I see. Smugglers.
Smugglers, yes.
Of course. And what was the name of the ship? And she starts getting a piece of parchment out.
Do we want
Do we want to tell her that?
Yeah. I think,
No, I
think
trust
Captain
her.
Ising, what's his face, might be an
Ironsides.
Everyone's as
ally.
horribly distrusting of everything as you guys.
No, I think he might be a potential ally, and I don't want to.
I think he's a potential ally of DuPont, and I don't know why you guys are trusting him.
No, I'm all up for telling her the name of the ship.
Yeah, I trust
There's no
Emily
way
over
I'm
him any day.
In which case,
All right.
It was the Joy, captained by Ironsides, I believe. And
She
it
scribbles
was
this down.
carrying powder, shot, weapons.
Weapon runners, of
Yes.
course.
And then today, in the slums, we found these crates emptied in the sewers.
It's funny you say that because I believe we might have found the way that these were brought into your city just at the site of the explosion, actually. There's an entrance to the sewer, and upon investigation, there's a pulley system that's been rigged all through the sewer, basically so that anything can be transported
she's-
into your city.
She's scribbling this down quite rapidly. I see. And what else can you tell me from your investigation? Anything else, Madame Dragon?
Well, we couldn't find anything at the gate, unfortunately.
Although, there was, it may be nothing, but there was a small etching in the tunnels that seemed to be pointing in that direction.
I know that directions from the smugglers to the intermediary.
And we couldn't
I
get
see.
onto the bridge.
I do apologize once again, Mr. Skairn. I shall inform my officers to be aware of your the dispensation I have afforded you and your friends staying at my restaurant. But regardless, I have doubled the guard around the city. I do not think this is anything more than larceny gone wrong at this point. Although this map seems to indicate to me an organized criminal enterprise.
To be clear, I don't tell Amelie about the K-Drill, what I learned from the Justicar, because
Sure.
obviously telling
telling us is a bit pushing it.
telling these guys I can
course.
kind of align with
Yeah.
because, they're helping me investigate this, but I'm not about to tell, the captain of the city guard, hey, by the way, the Fury have this massive secret and it's really important.
Yeah, of course.
It could well be relevant. The other thing that
But plus, I don't want to draw too much attention to myself.
it's the other thing that it just could be relevant, as I'm sure you may know. There is you have something of a cobalt infection
Of course, the damnable things.
living in the sewers.
Yes, I am aware that some of my guards are conspiring with them to undercover more illicit activities, but quite frankly, I think we should just be burning them out. They have been a constant sword in my side. They have been attacking our granary supplies. They have been attacking certain people of personage within the city. And frankly, I do not think that we need the security risk of an underground hostile force. Things are not the most calm as the present.
As I understand it, you have forces taking care of this if there's any extra help you need.
I have instructed them to do so. In fact, I believe I have received a work order from Jessica Teach about such a thing. But to be quite honest, with the doubled security, I have not any extra men to spare.
Charlie's literally just gonna flex like.
Those muscles are...
Ken will form a different pose.
Nezor's just nodding like, yeah, let's kill some shit.
What are you?
I am very
What are you
bored.
doing?
We might be able to murder some things for you.
I do have some new techniques that I would like to try out.
Yeah, he's good at murdering things. I will say that.
I am pretty good at murdering
Maybe don't
things.
say that in front of the captain guard.
Pertinent.
Haven't done it in a while, but
I would also like sort of pull out the map that I had given her and mark exactly where those, where that little grate that we found on the map on
Oh,
the
so
street.
you just let whoever fill in the information.
Yeah, so sort of like, this was where that grade was. So if you've got some guys down there,
Yeah.
again, don't want to tell you how to suck eggs, but maybe
This is a very strange expression.
you don't show your grandma to suck eggs. Basically, she's been doing it for a lot longer than like.
I don't know why,
Sucking
but
eggs. This is Nezor Valghoorlis.
I do not wish to tell you how to do your job because you are
certainly.
vastly more superior at it than me, but...
Certainement. Farewell. So I shall. I feel I have taken up your time, so do not let me detain you.
Can we go back to the bridge?
Sure.
We can do that on the way back.
no.
Like,
You three could go onto the bridge.
oh yeah.
I'll take your weapons.
Yes, that's okay. So
Like we don't have to act it out. Can I just leave the weapons, go to the bridge, and have a look
sure.
around?
It's night.
With
so
Nezor and Charlie.
Yep, I'm coming with you.
It's night, so the military presence are now with torches, and the palisades have actually been adjusted so it lets in fewer people at once.
No, I was gonna say I'll just have a peek around. Like,
Yep.
just I'll roll an investigation check while we're here.
Let's get everyone to roll an investigation.
Like,
check,
have
because
we?
you're all
We're looking in the
nearby.
middle of the bridge, but have we looked at the entrance? I'm assuming that
I'm
would be a.
going to investigate as much of the bridge as I can possibly investigate on both sides.
Basically, we're having a good old squeeze.
Have a good old look around, pokey nose.
12.
24.
Fucking hell.
That's a funny number.
11. Just don't send Rhylind to investigate. She's just not good enough.
Charlie, you're not entirely certain, but after standing there in the cold of the night, you suspect the guards here are eyeing you especially with, I won't say apprehension, but sort of there's no one should be on the bridge at this time of night. And they're a little bit more nervous than you would normally expect.
I'm gonna roll a deception check.
Sure.
And sort of go, well, done for the night then. And sort of walk off and try and sneak behind somewhere to hide and pretend that I'm heading off.
Sure. And
I rolled a 20!
they seem...
Sweet, fat, natural.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, oh yes, and then nick off somewhere.
So you're just going to like hide around a corner and just like watch.
Deception.
I'm
ever.
imagining a tiny box,
Maybe too big. Yeah.
and they're like, "Where did that massive boulder come from?"
Are you basically going to stake out the bridge?
Yeah.
Okay. What are the rest of you doing?
I've walked out to the middle. I'm pretending to be admiring the view. I've got the pipe out again. Just a dragon woman chilling on a bridge. Nothing to see here. But actually, I'm just.
He's probably got to go to a gig.
Yeah, it's some like I'm going with these guys because I'm assuming I have a gig nearby is probably the best.
I offer you a smoke.
I decline.
It gets later in the evening, and the wind at the top of the bridge actually gets a lot harsher. And then at about the equivalent of, say, 10 o'clock...
I'm still hiding.
Yeah. You're almost at the end of your patience when a horse-drawn cart appears from the Erhart side and approaches the palisades.
Can I just investigate it as go past? Do I
Yeah, I was going to say, do me a perception check because you might see some detail.
15. Perception is -1, so 14.
You can't see any great detail because, again, it is dark and it sort of is just clipping past at a bit of a speed, but you're fairly sure that this figure that's on the cart has a tail. He definitely has a tail.
Tiefling, I'm thinking.
No, actually, thicker than a tiefling's tail.
Thicker than a tiefling's tail.
Kobold.
How big is the hooded figure?
He's quite large. Like, he's probably about the same size as Charlie.
And what can I discern about this tail? Colour?
Nothing, just
shape?
that he has one. It's sort of under, like, he's got a cloak on that's covering pretty much all his body, but you can see that, like, the cloak to the side is covering something, and that you're pretty certain
Being a
it's a
tailed
tail.
person myself,
Yeah,
I suspect it is in fact a tail.
yeah.
So possibly a dragonborn. I'm not familiar enough with the... Any other tailed creatures in this universe I should be aware of?
No.
Actual dragons.
Well, yeah, and other betailed creatures. But,
He is in
yeah,
fact.
he's
a tiger.
definitely, it's definitely not a tiefling. It's definitely something thicker. And the Bashano says something to them, which can't really be picked up because of the high wind. And they immediately just back away and let him through. And the horse cart just continues
Do
off.
I recognise the cart?
No, it's an actual cart, like with cargo, as opposed to a
okay.
carriage. Roll me a perception. You'll want to beat 18.
No.
Okay, yeah, you can't get enough detail because of the fact that it's so dark of the driver, but
What
he's
sort of cargo? Is it boxes? Is it barrels?
chests. And they just literally just let something through.
All right, I'm going to. All right.
Oh dear,
You
you said
see-
all right 3 times.
He seems very pleased with
Things
himself.
are not all right.
I'm going to, as it goes by, I want to roll under and.
You do realise if you fail this, you will be taking some
Run over
pretty
by a
bad.
car.
Yeah, that's not a.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to then.
I'm not
As
saying you
opposed to
can't.
roll under it, like
You've seen The
As
Edge of
it
Tomorrow,
goes-
right? Where he
Yeah.
fails to roll under the truck as it's driving by.
as it goes past, I'm going to sort of go behind it and
With the box on.
so like run behind it and then grab it.
So you're going to grab the back of the cart,
Yes.
and be dragged on from behind it.
Yes, like sort of. Basically, I'm going to come in from behind and do the same thing instead of going under the wheels.
Okay.
They're suddenly
Alright.
like, why is this so much heavier? Those
Okay. Roll me a stealth.
20.
Okay. So you manage to scarper out from behind this box without the guards noticing. Now roll me a dexterity to see if you can catch it.
That's an 11.
That's enough.
Excellent.
You managed to grab it. However, you're going to have to stow behind the cargo as opposed to underneath it, just because you're losing your footing.
Yep.
Actually, Ryan, everyone else was not there. It was just.
It was Rhylind and him.
I'm in the middle of the bridge.
Okay.
Do I notice Charlie getting on the cart? Or am I too far away?
Roll me a perception check.
Oh, that's right.
No.
9.
So I don't
She
see
actually
Charlie.
couldn't have rolled a 20.
So do I see it getting waved right through?
Yes, you do. Actually, it's really odd because, as you were saying, like everyone who went through this checkpoint has been frisked.
Like
It's
I got frisked.
Yeah, everyone got frisked.
Was
but
it a
there's-
female guard?
Sorry?
Was it a female guard?
It's
He
an
could
elf.
have insisted
Could
on
have
it.
It was a male elf with a really weak grip. It's just like
Damn it!
wet fished
The
all
worst
over you.
kind of-
Yeah.
Like,
But this got let through, which is really odd, especially since it didn't have any official markings or anything either. Like, you were close enough to sort of see.
Can I see in which direction the cart goes?
It actually continues off down the main street and then curves left towards the slums. But it's got chests all on the back of it.
Okay.
Charlie,
yes.
you're tumbling along on the back of this cart.
Yep.
Are you planning to do anything, or are you just going to stay with it until it gets to its destination?
Pretty much. I plan to. Oh well, the chests that are like in front of me because I'm holding on.
Yeah.
Again, are these like wooden crates or are they like
They're like
chests with
chests.
latches and shit?
They're large chests.
Are
but
they
they're
locked?
chests. Yeah.
Like they got padlocks and shit on them.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna look at one of the chests to see if there's any markings or anything on it. Like, I don't want to rob something that, if it seems sus as hell and it's going in the slums, I'm tempted to try and nick a chest. Like as it takes a corner towards where it's going,
Just throw
I go
yourself off.
and run off with it. Like,
Sure. That'd be a bit of a mission, but you could do it.
but yeah, another 20.
fuck's sake, man.
Oh, wow. Yeah, okay.
Like nat 20.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So-
which is a numerical value.
So yeah, I pretty much just go as we're sort of getting towards a destination, and then grab it and jump off and.
Yeah, so you manage to nab the one that's furthest away and just peel off and run off into the night with a chest. And you're now standing in the middle of the city at night.
Running.
Running through the middle of the city at night with a chest.
Yes.
And I guess you're heading to where?
Where everyone else is, so I mean, it was, Emily's place. I also travel.
You're lucky.
I also travel at 40 feet around, so
That's
I'm like a
fine,
blur.
but you're also running through
I
the
would
city.
be walking at a casual pace with it balanced on my shoulder,
am-
you big muscly guy.
I am not walking casual pace through these slums full of the poor people with a big chest on my
You're
shoulder.
looking big, strong man. You'll be
I
fine.
don't want to have to fight people. That's not the sort of person he is.
Actually, what are you doing? Are you going to stay on the rest of the bridge for the rest of the night? As far as you're concerned, Charlie's still there waiting.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay on the bridge.
Oh no.
All right. Much
Well,
later.
Okay, I'm gonna stay on the bridge for another hour, and then I'm gonna pack it in and go home because I don't think anything else is gonna happen. Does anything else happen in the next
No.
hour?
I mean, that
No?
was the interesting thing.
But I'll wait another hour, nothing happens, so I might run.
Yeah, Charlie's disappeared. He's not where you thought he was.
Charlie disappeared.
Do the guards react to me coming back in any way?
So they frisk you and let you pass, relatively unmolested.
Relatively.
But very weak-fingeredly still.
Need a
Like
bar.
salad fingers. It's
Tiffany.
like a salad fingers.
It's just sort of like, there's no strength. It's like, oh, come on.
They are still
so I
toting muskets, though. so-
I discreetly look for Charlie, but I don't find him, and I'm just like, right, well, I'm going to head home and tell guys about this mysterious cart.
Yeah.
I saw that it went towards the slum, so I'm going to say, I think we...
We'll probably meet up, like me, like, oh, hey.
This blur.
Yeah. I'm gonna say you do, but you all basically wait to tell your story until you get back to. We'll just call it the estate for now. You guys have been playing cards all night.
I get home at some point and just join in.
Yep. And then the door bursts open and he says, giant of a man holding a chest and a cold-looking dragon.
Evening.
I'm gonna sort of. I'm just trying to say because
Somebody here who could open that chest for you.
I was going to say, because if this is potentially a crime, I don't want these guys.
It's not potentially a crime. It is a crime. You just stole a chest.
No, what I mean
That's
is
hilarious.
It's like, I don't want to tie you fuckers into this. So, Charlie.
That is
Hey, man, what's in the chest?
It's genuinely charming that you're concerned about this.
Like,
Oh, honey.
You know that joke they made about me murdering people?
it's like I'm gonna run in, but I don't know whether I would go.
Hi guys, going to my room. Bye.
I'm going to masturbate. Don't follow. No, like
We all follow.
Charlie would.
I want to see
Princess
this.
is trailing you.
Yes, like well, she would be in my room, so that's what I was thinking. Is doing the same thing I did with George and climbing up, like going. Well, hi, Rhylind.
Let me just clarify this. If you're going to try and climb a wall with a chest
I will-
and get through a window, you're welcome to try.
I will run
but you will need to
through
do a
the
check.
house at 80 feet within a 6-second time frame.
Okay. So
He's not, and he's
80
gone
feet
again.
is like 25, 30 meters.
Yeah, he's
in
like
6
6
seconds.
seconds gone in 2 seconds.
I wonder if that's actually feasible in like.
Oh, it's physically possible in a straight line if you're sprinting, but
Yeah.
like I can do 100 meters in 12 seconds. Was my personal best when I was at my fittest, and I was like 12. And I was a sprinter.
Jesus. Okay. Well, yeah, he's inhuman, but
It's like, guys, I don't know what the fuck is going on. There was a cart, and he's gone, and...
Okay, so what are you guys doing? You gonna follow him up there? Are you gonna let him bone by
I'm
himself?
totally going out there after him. That's not in any way suspicious at all.
Fast. It's like
The door will be closed
This is relevant to our investigation.
Wait,
But if I've accidentally robbed somebody, I don't
accidentally about it. You took a chest.
Yes, okay. Yes, I've robbed someone, but if I've robbed a bad person, it's fine. If I've robbed someone who's not bad, I'm going to run back out the door and give it back to the guy.
See, that's what I think, but without the second part.
But also, so if you want to do this in the least suspicious way, the least terrible way possible, if it's potentially not a problem, then you want to be able to open it without damaging it.
Correct.
Now, your method of opening, I'm going to assume, is punch it.
No, mine is use my +5 to sleight of hands.
How about you let the thief with, like...
I don't know she's a thief. You are all reasonably upstanding human beings.
Can we just take a step back? So
a
what?
real problem with authority figures.
We've hung out and he doesn't know she's a thief?
Yeah. Oh no, I've been subtle. Yeah, I'm like, hi guys, I'm just going out. I'll be back. Bye.
I just bought some new earrings.
You guys are awful at this whole lying business.
What's actually happened?
Says the man.
I don't lie. I'm pretty straightforward with people.
So, what's actually happened? Have you come through and gone into your room? I'm
My
guessing,
bedroom.
which is separate from Gorgeous George's.
Correct. We don't share a bedroom.
You have to.
Duchess is involved
Him just
somehow as
talking in
well.
his sleep, like.
Yeah, he's like my employee / partner, not my husband.
Okay, so
Slash business partner.
Yes.
what we do.
I've totally been relating to you wrong the entire time.
Okay, so
I just love the idea of Skairn thinking, oh, okay, they're a couple.
Wait, they're not... oh.
so he's gone. You've gone into your room, and we're all left. So it's like, well, he seemed to be carrying a chest. Rhylind, could you shed some light on this?
Okay. He was waiting. He was by the gate, and I went on the bridge. And we were there for a while. It was fucking cold, and this cart comes through, and I couldn't really see. It was quite dark, but I'm pretty sure the guy had a tail.
Like a
What kind of tail are we thinking?
Like, not a tiefling tail. It was, I don't know, but...
How big? How big's the dude?
He's about the size of Charlie, but he had a tail.
So not a kobold-sized person?
No, not a kobold-sized person, much too big. Anyway, and he goes down to the checkpoint, and they just let him straight through. They didn't search him, nothing, straight through. And so I waited to see if anything else was coming across. And this car, it goes off, and sorry, I'm going to out of breath. Goes off, and I turned in the direction of the slums, and that's where I lost sight of it. And I wait to see if anything else is coming across. Nothing else happens. Totally dead. So I leave the bridge, man with cold hands doing the frisking, very unpleasant. And Charlie's just gone. Charlie's nowhere to be found. Yeah. So rather than go wandering off on my own, I started to head back here. And we're like down the road there, and he just comes charging in like a crazy person. And he's got this massive chest on one shoulder. And I'm just like, Charlie! And he's just like, boom! And like, that man can run. Apparently dragging all those logs gives you superhuman speed. So I ran after him. And he just didn't stop. I'm pretty sure he just shot straight through the back wall and out the other side of the house, to be honest. So somebody...
Should we, like...
So we might want to check on him.
Yeah, all right. So as a group, let's...
So we go up
knock.
and...
Hello?
Like, head out. Stuff just matches me, like...
Yeah.
Are you
You okay?
all right in there?
What happened?
Are you still in the house?
This sounds like a very, weird question, but does anybody know how to pick a lock?
Everyone just looks as one.
Well, I've had some small experience with this matter.
Nice earrings, by the way.
Thank you.
May I borrow you for just 1 minute?
They're an alien. By all means.
So you're in Charlie's room.
I pat Duchess.
Yeah, and I just sort of, I point at the lock and go, I do apologise for getting you involved, but this could be pertinent for our investigations, or I could have just committed my first crime.
Bless.
Bless.
I mean, I will demean myself to involve myself in this matter.
I just sort of, like...
We are all presumably listening.
Yeah.
My eavesdropping furiously.
The way I picture it is Rylind's head at the top, Skairn's head, and then Nezor's head, significantly lower than the rest of it.
And at that one, we all look at each other.
And I'm, like, whispering unsuccessfully.
Yeah. Your whisper is like a dull roar.
Control, like, the volume of my voice!
I'm going to laugh so much if I fail to open this. All right.
You're going to have to roll pretty high.
You get advantage on it as well.
Okay.
You do.
I will try to open this. So first I inspect the crate. Chest.
Now, you are using your lockpick tools, right?
Correct.
Not
So that will
to
be-
inspect it.
Okay,
I use
no.
my
Oh, you're
eyeballs.
just inspecting it. Fair enough.
First I'm just like, ooh, yes,
It's
have a
made of
look.
wood.
Yeah. And you got to inspect. It's okay. So it is.
Is there any markings? Is there anything that looks weird?
It's very nondescript, except the fact that the lock is a dwarven make lock. So they're very, very tough to crack. You've only come across one or two of them in your life. The case, the chest itself is iron rimmed. So it has, basically on the edges, it has iron inlay, and then the wood that's running through it is a very strong
Let me
oak.
guess, that's all made by dwarves as well.
No, the chest itself doesn't look like it's dwarf, but the lock itself is.
It's fucking
But the
dwarves.
chest looks like, basically it can take a pretty big hit and still keep knocking.
Neat.
Roll me a wisdom check. Was that a nat? What was it? A nat 20?
No.
Is it the opposite?
Almost.
3.
Okay, that's fine.
It was almost 18.
Is there anything
Maybe
else
this
you want
one
to
will
do
do.
before you start picking the lock?
Nah, just go into it.
Okay.
So do I get +9?
Yes.
26.
And again.
That's gonna do it.
Roll it up.
You can take the
You can
advantage roll.
take the advantage roll if you want.
And if,
Couldn't hurt.
if I get lower, it doesn't.
Yeah, if you get higher, it helps.
Aha! 29.
Okay,
Yeah,
even
so-
better.
Nat 20.
So takes a little while, and you almost hit like one
And
of the
can I just
dwarven
say-
inbuilt triggers that realign the lock, and there's all this special.
Well,
Go ahead.
while this is happening, I'm going, oh, yes, this is very interesting. You know, this was always a hobby of mine. Locks, you know. I
Roll
always
a
thought it was
deception check
interesting.
then.
Yeah.
I'm going to, as well, while she's
Take
doing
the nat
that,
20 on the deception.
I'm going to be resting on the lid. So it's like, well, I'm standing there paying attention, but I'm holding the lid down, so when she unlocks it, she can't open it.
Okay.
Just because I
rude.
don't... If I've stolen something, I don't want you to be implicated.
She's opening the lock for you.
But if you're doing that, then I'm gonna be like, what are you doing with your hand on there?
What do you mean?
On the chest.
I was like,
The chest,
please keep your voice down. People might think I'm doing something untoward.
And outside Ro's like,
What are you doing to her?
outside Ro's like, I think he's touching her chest. This is getting pretty hot.
Why is your hand there? Why is your hand on the chest? What's it doing there? But seriously, why is your hand on the treasure chest?
So red and yeah, like, but yeah.
You managed to avoid the dwarven traps that in the lock that actually realign the tumbler so that it can't be. It basically locks the thing unless you've got the master key. You bypass that, you get in there, and then you hear a really satisfying click, and the lock's unlocked. You feel a sort of like a pop on the lid, but you're holding the lid down so it doesn't move. Still holding it down?
Yep.
All right.
It's just so many euphemisms. There was some touching of the chest, and he felt a little pop.
And he's still
He's
holding
still
it
holding
down.
it down.
Now, give me a strength check.
Yeah, it's a 19. So 22.
Okay. You feel something push up against the top of the chest, and it's actually quite hard to keep down. The chest is slowly opening of its own volition.
I will look at you and just say, like, get out of here. Try and maybe get somebody. This isn't...
Well, it just so happens that we have a few friends literally just outside the door.
No, we've had our ears pressed up against the door. We're eavesdropping the crap out of
Avidly
this.
listen. Hey guys!
Yes?
And then I open the door. Perhaps
We're all fallen comically.
When you come in, though, I'm going to be like, yeah, just don't murder it.
No,
And-
no promises.
Roll me another strength check, please.
Oh, I knew.
6.
The chest forces itself up, and light emits from inside the chest. It's a dark blue, and within stands an animated suit of armor, pulling itself together from parts that you can actually see that are in the chest, and is assembling itself in front
I'm
of
going
you.
to basically throw myself in front of it so it doesn't hurt Abella.
Sure. It stands before you and goes,
Oh, okay.
I love a massage.
I don't know if you'd love one from this guy.
Okay. What sort of check am I going to need and make to
Control it.
sort of control it, essentially?
you could just talk to it. You don't necessarily have to make a check. Or are you trying to work out how it works?
I'll make an Arcana check for it.
Sure.
10.
You're not sure.
Cool.
I was asking for a directive. Go on.
I was going to say, shall we figure out where it came from first? Ask it.
What made you? What is your function?
Better than destruction.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Follow. Designation. Me.
Why?
Look, it turns its head and looks at Charlie and goes,
Shall we, maybe one of us, try to make an order to see if it does what we say instead of what you say? To say, ward off you being, I don't know, let's say someone shouts out the order,
If it's
punch him in the back of the head.
If it's imprinted on Charlie now, we
Like a
can't
baby
really give
does.
it
So
to
she just
Emily.
yelled
That's what
out,
we're testing.
punch him in the back of the head. Does it respond to that in any way?
you punched it in the head?
No, she's just yelled out the command.
Punch him in the back of the
I
head.
didn't. All right.
No. Did you or didn't you?
I
You
didn't.
were saying in
Literally
character.
in
she-
character
Okay.
said that into the room.
Okay. Armor turns around and raises its fist and brings it towards you, but stops within a hairbreadth.
Well, that's good.
I'm going to see whether I can say, like, don't take orders from anyone else. Like, basically, receive orders directly from me. Like, as in, ignore all orders that don't come from me. Saves me getting accidentally punched in the back of the head.
You know, I'm
He
glad.
was very precise.
Yeah. Well,
What is your name?
It doesn't respond.
Okay.
Can you ask him?
Why don't you ask him? It.
I don't mean to seem rude, but we're not keeping him.
I'm curious. No, this is all knowledge. This is all information. We are curious. What is it?
But he's awesome.
Currently,
Thank you, Nezor.
currently, what we're testing is whether or not it listens to anybody else.
What is your name?
Okay.
Your
Ask him if we
name.
can give him one.
Your name is Roger.
No!
Fantastic.
Princess!
Roger, Roger.
couldn't have picked something even moderately impressive.
I picked my father's name. I'm sorry that it's not impressive to a dragon lady as, but you know, us
Your
commoners.
poor father.
Your father's name was Roger Roughhouse. That's amazing.
Must have had a rough childhood.
Roger that.
South Seas, man.
Anyway, what are we going to do
You sure we're not
with this?
superheroes?
I am going to take him to Emily. So hopefully she's home, because it's going to be a bit odd me walking up to...
Why don't we not take Roger?
Yes, that's a good
Because-
idea.
In terms of you're worried that this has been surreptitiously transported. Probably people aren't wanting its whereabouts. Maybe you don't want to admit to whoever it is that you stole it from.
Yeah,
that
we
you
wouldn't want
stole
anyone
it.
to think anyone here is doing anything
thief.
illegal at the moment.
Yes.
9.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to get your story straight before you go to Emily.
My story is I saw a cart that was let through a checkpoint unchecked.
Yeah.
And I followed it, and just to make sure that it wasn't
With
full
you
of
all the way.
bombs.
Yeah.
So I don't have anything to get straight because I'm not lying.
May I raise a point then?
You certainly can.
How did you open the box?
I am a very dexterous man.
As a side
You didn't
point,
open it.
Typical
Abella.
male taking credit for a woman's work.
No, considering the entire.
No, you just felt up her function.
Yes. Oh no, she was here just for. I was
in a room and he was had his hand on the chest.
Sorry. Yes, Nezor.
as a side point, it got let through the checkpoint. How do you know this isn't Emily's work? And she's
Also,
going
a
to
very
be
good
like,
point.
guys,
Because
isn't on.
okay, if it is Emily's and I have just stolen from her, would it not be better to go? I was worried and decided to check up on something as opposed to hide that I have stolen from her and make myself seem very, 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 very guilty as opposed to just moderately guilty.
No.
I do agree. Versus the risk of Earhart invasion and pissing off Emily's probably.
Yes, also, I would prefer not to sully my name, and it kind of follows me, so...
Yeah, we can't actually do much right now. He can just say follow and it will walk out.
We have a suit of armor that's out